What's up, guys? It's Christopher DAV1DNECF, Aerovapor on YouTube, New Vapor, and Vapor Talk. I also am opening up a Facebook page that will be going soon, but in the meantime, I went to do a video review for a vendor for some hardware, and in the midst, I saw a PM that I had come through from one of my subscribers asking me to please do a video on different Cartos, their ohms, what voltage they work better at, what my favorite Carto is, like what all of the goodies about Cartos. So I figured before I did the vendor review, I would do that instead, since, I mean, the whole purpose I do this is for my subscribers, so I'm going to get started. Some of these will be on tanks, but it still acts just the same as with that Carto not on a tank. Like I have a 2 ohm boge low resistance in a lava tank here, but it's the same as if you were using the boge 2 ohm out of a tank. So with that said, I'll probably do a minute or so on each Carto. I got a lot to get through. I'll kind of give you the price point, what I think about it, and then at the end I'll tell you kind of what I go toward the most. So we'll get started. I have a boge low resistance at around 4 volts. Performing exactly how you would expect a boge low resistance to work. Love them or hate them, they are reliable, super reliable. When you go to take a pull on your boge, no matter where you got them from, no matter what pack they're out of, you can expect little to no fiddling with the Carto and expect the same consistent vape every time. Now, if you're vaping a lot of no filler Cartos and go to a boge, you're gonna taste that filler taste. But when I'm not on a day where I'm not vaping a lot of like tank Cartos or non-filler Cartos, to me I don't taste the filler anymore because I'm so used to it. It gives you good flavor. To me, they're perfect at 4 to 4.2 volts with a low resistance boge. While they say 2 ohm, all my boges lately have been coming around 2.2 ohms. The price point is kind of one of the cheaper Cartos you could get. Like, there's sites where I bought 10 boxes, that's 50 Cartos at 33 bucks. You really can't beat that. That's a lot of Cartos for the price. Like I said, expect vaping as you would expect. Great. Boge to low resistance are reliable, and you can always expect to get the same great vape every time, every pack, every Carto. So, next I will go to a Fluxomizer from gotvapes.com. It's a CE2 style Carto. It's not the older CE2, it's the newer one. It's like the CE2 Deluxe. I never had any kind of luck at all with CE2s before this Deluxe. There is a little fiddle factor to them, like the plug that originally comes in them. There's 2 plugs, a thick plug and then a thinner ring. I completely rip out the thicker one and I just put the thinner one in there. They're great because they're very easy to open, clean out, and reuse. This one had juice sitting in it for like, I don't know, 2 months, and I rinsed out the juice with hot water, filled it up, and it's working perfectly. This is a 2.8 ohm, so generally it's better on a little bit higher voltage, probably around 4.5 volts, but I have this on 3.7 right now. I have a feeling by the end of this video I'm going to have a serious Nick high going. So performing well. The only thing is there is a fiddle factor to them. Like, it doesn't just work perfect out of the box, at least not for me. I know everybody's going to have their own opinion and their own, stories about CE2s. For me, this is the best CE2 that I've tried. The previous versions just don't work well for me, but these do. But like I said, you do have to fiddle with them. Every once in a while, you might get a dry hit and have to adjust it. Depends how much juice is in it. However, when they're working well, they perform very well. The price point for these are from gotvapes.com. They're like 12 bucks for a 5-pack. So performing well. About, like I said, 12 bucks for a 5-pack. But unlike the boge low resistance, like there is that fiddle factor to them where every single one might not act the same. You might have to adjust it more than others, so on and so forth. Next, I will go to... Oh, it's going to be a pain in the ass. Next is going to be a dual coil Carto, which is kind of like what everybody is into right now. I personally would take other Cartos over a dual coil. So this is going to be at like 4.2 volts on a 1.5 ohm dual coil Carto. Performing well. The problem with these is they don't work on all devices. Like the older Pro Varies, if you could get up to 4.2 volts, you'll be lucky. The lava tubes, it's going to drop you down to around 3.3 volts. So if you have a device that can handle going up to higher voltages with them, they do work well. They do have good flavor. They work best for me, like around 4.5 volts. This works excellent. However, I've found in my experience that the dual coils don't last as long as other Cartos. They get nasty quicker. They'll kind of get, after a while of vaping them, just not a clean flavor to them. So in my opinion, they don't last as long as the other Cartos. However, they put out a hell of a lot of vapor. And the dual coil tanks, you can use single coil Smoktekks in also. You don't have to use dual coils. So for me, while they work well, it's not my favorite Carto to use. These, depending on where you buy them, will run you anywhere between 9 and 12 bucks for a 5-pack of dual coil Cartos. Like I said, the flavor's good. Sometimes I feel like I get more of a filler taste from a dual coil Carto than I do from others, but that's just my opinion. Everybody has their own. So, that's it for dual coils. Next, I have a single coil Smoktekk 1.7 ohm running at 3.8 volts. You know, I compare these to the dual coils a lot in the sense where I feel like I can get just as good, if not a better vape out of the 1.7 ohm Smoktekks as I can from a dual coil, except in my experience that the Smoktekks last a little longer, and I feel like I get a little bit better flavor out of these. These are best used at 1.7 ohms. The problem that I have had with these once in a while is that the ohms can vary. So in a pack, I'll get one that works great at 3.8, 4 volts, and then another one that'll actually be so low ohmed that it'll give me a burnt flavor at 4 volts, and I have to knock it down to 3.6, 3.7 volts. However, if you have a mod that you can kind of tune it down, they work excellent. They work very similar to a boge low resistance, it's just a little more low resistance than the boge is. This is the Carto, my go-to Carto for tanks. Instead of using dual coils in dual coil tanks, I tend to use the Smoktekk 1.7 ohm Cartos in the dual coil tanks. Next, I have the Stardust and or Ego clearomizer that has been huge right now. They're sold out everywhere because everybody's trying to get their hands on them. They are around 2.7 ohms. You can also get them in a little lower ohm. So generally they work best around 4.2 volts for me. But right now I have it on an Ego and I'll show you how it vapes. Vaping excellent. The deal with these are, when you first get them, they're not going to be at their peak performance. They really need to be broken in. They have a thicker coil and a little bit different wick, so they do need break-in time before they really peak out and work excellent. I have really gotten into these. I love these Cartos. The throat hit on them is slightly reduced from like a boge low resistance or a Smoktekk low resistance. However, they vape excellent. The price on these are anywhere from $4.99, like Light Sig USA has them for $4.99. Got Vape sells them. I think they're around $6 or $5.95 at Got Vapes. The problem is they're always sold out because everybody wants to get a hold of them. If you want to use it on a device that is not an Ego device, you have to get some extenders or some adapters, but they do work excellent. They tend to work better with juices that are 50-50 and below for VG. However, I have gotten them to work with higher VG juices. So it works excellent. A little bit pricey, but works great. Oh boy, man, I am running out of time already. So here I have a Vision Carto, which runs around $5.95 to $7, depending on where you get them per Carto. This one is a 4.2 ohm at 6 volts. These perform really well. Again, I haven't had the best luck in my vaping career with CE2 cartomizers, but these have worked really well for me, and I haven't had a lot of issues with dry hits. If you get the ones that are around 2.4 ohm Vision Cartos, they work the best around 4 volts or 4.2 volts. Really good vapor. They actually have a pretty good throat hit for a CE2 cartomizer. It might be just muted a tiny bit from what you're used to with like a boge low resistance or such. Next I have a Volt Carto, which is an 808 native Carto. Take a hit around 3.7 to 4 volts. 4 volts. These Volt Cartos really work excellent. One of the great things about them is that they're not juice whores. Like, a fill on one of these Cartos will last you for hours, at least in my experience. I can get them to last me for hours. They are 808 native, so you would have to get an 808 to 510 adapter if you're a 510 vapor, but they work excellent. It's a horizontal coil Carto, and you can get the Cartos on smokelessimage.com for about $8 a box. And Smokeless Image always, if you sign up for their Facebook page, they're always running promos anywhere from 20 to 23% off of their Cartos. So excellent Carto, horizontal coil, great flavor, great vapor production, runs around 2.6 ohms. I find it to work best actually at like 4 volts. To me, even though they're higher ohm, when you go up to like 4.5 volts, I'll get like a burnt taste out of the Volt Cartos. So for me, they work best around 4.0 or so volts. Next, I have a 1.2 ohm dual coil. Great flavor, great throat hit, but a hot vape. And you have to constantly feed this thing because you will run out of juice quickly because it is so hot and burns so much juice. But has good flavor, good throat hit. You can get them around 11 to 12 bucks a pack. Not my favorite Carto. Let me wrap this up really quick. All these Cartos are great. I have really been into using these Stardust, but they are pricey. Also, you can mod them, which is great. You can re-wick and recoil them, which I'll do a video for. But all in all, I always find myself going back to the boge low resistance, boge 2 ohm Carto. They're the most reliable, have the most consistent vape, and for me, just fit my vaping needs the best. So that tends to be the Carto that I always go to and is priced right. So that's all I got. This is Christopher DAV1D on ECF, Aerovapor on YouTube. I will see you guys on the forums.